Hi, and welcome to Books with Ken. I'm your host for today, Tiffany Magner. I'm here today with Charles Walts, who is a retired colonel in the Army, and he's also a first-time author. He's written a great new book. It's called Rest in Peace, A Planning Guide for the Inevitable. So welcome to the show today, Charles.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tiffany.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit about the book, why you wrote it, what's it all about. It's an interesting title.
Well, it is an interesting title. In fact, it's the third of three potential titles. We originally called it Life Goes On, then changed it to Before and After, and ultimately Rest in Peace. This book is about death. That's not a perhaps favorable topic to a lot of people, but it's very important. And the way this book came about was because of a friend of mine who died of cancer and left his wife virtually clueless. She didn't know where the will was. He was a veteran. She didn't have any of the necessary papers that she needed. She wasn't familiar with how to get the military benefits, Social Security. Bank accounts, of course, were not so that she could get her hands on those immediately. And it was a mess. Well, one morning at breakfast, and we were members of the same breakfast club for about 25 years, she was telling me how hard it had been. And she said, somebody needs to write a book. She said, why hasn't somebody written a book? And I said, well, Sandy, I don't know why no one's written a book, but you make an interesting comment. So I kind of thought about that for a while, and I thought, well, maybe I could write a book, because in my second career after retiring from the Army, I was a business continuity planner, doing contingency planning. And the same principles that apply to corporations who plan for a major event that disrupts their organization would apply to a family or a spouse of a person who had died. Now, that is a major disruption, believe me. And most folks really have no idea what is going to happen after a loved one dies. And there are many variables involved. Is this an attended death or an unattended death? Because things happen differently. The one common thing, of course, is that you're going to have to deal with a mortician or an undertaker. And funerals and burials can be very expensive. So we did a lot of research. My business partner, Tommye White, and I have worked together for 20 years, decided to go out on the internet and take a look and go see funeral directors and talk to people who handle veterans affairs, and go see a justice of the peace who in the state of Texas, where we live, is a de facto coroner, and find out all of the things that we could about the process that a person is going to go through. And so we put together the book. One of the interesting things that I think most people never think about is the fact that life comes with an expiration date. We don't know when that expiration date is going to be. But the fact of the matter is that since we're not immortal, sooner or later we're going to pass on. And when we do, we need to have our affairs in order. And we need to leave behind information for our survivors so that they can handle our affairs when we're gone. This book addresses both of those matters.
Wow.
We think that the audience for this book out there is virtually anyone who is a head of household first, but anyone who has spent their life accumulating things, as we all do. A house, a car, a motorcycle, guns, coins, books, anything like that, they're going to leave behind as an estate. And so I know that if I died, I would certainly want my family to know what I wanted done with me, as well as all the things that I had spent my life collecting.
Absolutely.
So that's the book in a nutshell.
That sounds great. Yeah, Not a topic everyone likes to discuss, but it's something certainly that's very necessary. It sounds like you've really done all of the guesswork for the reader, doing all the research ahead of time, having all the forms needed, et cetera.
That's one interesting aspect of this particular book. We put together about, I'm going to say 10 forms. I'm not exactly sure how many there are. But we went out and we looked at a will and said, well, everyone should have a will. If you go to an attorney is going to charge you, well, probably $200 or $300 or more to write a will.
Oh,
you
yeah.
can do that yourself. I actually went down to one of the office supply places, and I found what was called a will kit. $35. I couldn't read the fine print, but it had a wonderful format for a will in it.
Okay.
Needed some modification, so we took it over to a couple of attorneys and had them look at it. And that is going to be on our website.
Okay.
So that you'll see a sample of the will in the book, and then you can go to the website, pull it down, fill it in, get a couple of witnesses, take it to the notary, and you've got a will.
Wow.
In addition to that, we have medical power of attorney.
Okay.
We have a financial power of attorney. We have do not resuscitate orders. And I think one of the most important things that this book has is basically what we would call maybe a personal information sheet that says everything there is to know basically about you, where you live, what your phone number was, when you were born, all that kind of thing, your sons, daughters, grandchildren, your mother, your father, all the things that really would be great for a family tree.
Yeah.
And in addition, it's going to contain bank account information, financial information for investment accounts, and if you are a computer person, all of your passwords.
Yes.
It has passwords. So it's very extensive. You can use it for many purposes, as I said before, family tree, but use it to write the obituary. There is a form that we have for an obituary, and you can write that yourself. The undertaker that you use will probably help you with that. There's no other book that we could find out there that has all these kinds of forms that you can use to really put your affairs in order and leave behind the information that your survivors are going to need to take care of the matters after you're gone.
That's very handy to have all of that completely in one spot, eliminate probably months of research and running around trying to figure it all out, especially in such a crisis time, if you will, and a very painful time.
It's a time of grief when a person dies, a family member dies, and a lot of times that grief is perhaps overwhelming.
Sure.
A spouse, for example, who loses a husband isn't going to be really ready to tackle all of the kinds of problems that she has to deal with. So you kind of let that settle down, but go to the book. Use it as a handbook. When I was looking at the category for the book, for example, in my quest to find a publisher, they gave me all kinds of things like it was fiction or it's historical, whatever. And I settled on self-help.
Okay.
And I think this is a self-help manual that will make things easier for you and your family.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that's wonderful. And it sounds like it's got obviously a broad appeal. Who the target market would be, I would say.
When we first started the book, Tiffany, we kind of had an idea that we were writing this book for senior citizens. And we thought a little bit about that, and we said, no, really, we're writing this book for virtually anyone who's 21 years of age who may own something that they're going to have to dispose of after they're gone. So they're going to probably need a will. We encourage people, of course, in the book to consider the possibility of insurance as one method of taking care of survivors. Not everybody has insurance. But if you follow through the logic of the book, the way a corporation would follow through our logic in developing plans for them, when you come to the end of it, you should have everything ready that you need so that if you were just to pass away right on the spot, someone could reach over, pick up your book, and here's everything they need.
A blueprint, yeah, almost. That's wonderful. Well, we certainly hope that you've enjoyed this episode today. And Charles Walts, we thank you so much for joining us here.
Thank you very much, Tiffany.
And we look forward to the book, Rest in Peace.